This one I found out about right after I'd just seen Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed. And what stood out to me was that this looked like a very similar movie in many ways, because it also stars Riz Ahmed and he once again plays a musician dealing with some life-altering issues. And that got me intrigued. Same actor, similar premise, how would this one deal with it? Well, turns out it deals with it in a similar manner, but in the end the message is a little bit different. It took it down a road that seemed familiar, but the destination wasn't exactly the same. So there are some key differences here, and the two movies don't really feel much alike at all, to be honest. It's also a very different movie just from a technical perspective too. And the setting is very different, but the characters are quite similar, to be fair. They're both struggling artists that are just barely making a living scraping by, and they're both stubborn people who are having trouble accepting their new reality. However, this one is set in the UK and a lot of it revolves around his immigrant family. And religion and culture plays a quite significant role in the story too. And that brings with it its own flavor, makes it feel like its own unique thing. But this is also clearly a much smaller production, much lower budget. Now I don't know the actual numbers, but it did feel more like a micro-budget production. There's really nothing fancy going on here and it's not gonna blow you away visually. It's pretty much a bare-bones film that does what it needs to and not much more. But it did try to be a bit artistic with some of the editing choices too. But to be honest, I didn't really like the way it handled that, and I found it to be more confusing than anything. I'm guessing the movie tried to portray the main character's fears and anxieties through these weird little dream sequence type things, but yeah, that just didn't work for me. Those were easily my least favorite part of the movie, and I would have kept them to a minimum or cut them entirely. But I do think the 4:3 aspect ratio did fit the movie and a throwback 90s feel it was going for. And it also gave it a more small-scale, intimate feel than widescreen would have. And this is a very small and intimate story, so that did end up working in its favor. Overall too, other than some of the editing, I didn't really mind this movie much. I don't think it's great, but it did have some great moments in there here and there too. And I thought that one line about face tattoos was pretty much hilarious. Other than that though, I don't really have much more to say about this one. It's not bad, and I'm inclined to give this a low 6. Boop. However, would I recommend it? Not really. Whatever this does, Sound of Metal does better in my opinion. So go watch that instead. Or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic.